A very good afternoon to you, and of course to our SABC News viewers. Of course, we're coming to you live from Durban. This is for the Political Party Symposium, of course the first of its kind since inception in 2021, and a lot of issues coming out of this symposium. Of course, we heard there the DCEO of the Political Party Funding Unit, Mr. George Mahlang, was saying that 8 billion rand had been administered to various political parties across the country since the inception of this act. So let me just get through to it. We've joined by a number of representatives of political parties. And let's just start off with the ANC. Mr. Mtumiseni Ntuli, perhaps your input so far.
Well, I think this is an important conversation, Natasha, given the fact that the law we're talking about is almost half a decade old. It's necessary that after some time, as South Africans, we must converge, as we're doing here today, to reflect on the progress we've attained on this party political funding. What has been the difficulties? How do we overcome them? It's a new legislation. It's bound to introduce many difficulties and challenges as we would have had here in the symposium. So our view as the ANC is that this is an important conversation. We congratulate the IEC for giving us a platform to have a conversation around this question and see how best to improve it.
Thank you so much. Let me just move to the MK party. Of course, I don't think you are so happy about some of the inputs that were actually made inside as the MK party. I know that time and time again you've raised the issue of phala and donations in that regard. What is your sentiment so far?
Look, we hope with this symposium, somehow IEC will realize and gain maybe some consciousness and maybe some confidence in its work. Because what was a highlight of the moment was the report of the research by the HSRC, which specifically says the lot of their research came out with the output that says people are losing confidence in the IEC.
But also in political parties as well.
Yes. But the research says people are losing mostly confidence in the IEC and its work because of the mishandling of the election and more others. So I hope somehow the IEC will take the output of this report and look at what are the recommendations says and implement them so that people on the ground will gain confidence to come back and vote political parties. Because as we stand now, there's a lot of things which are not genuine that the IEC sometimes hear and not respond on, like the political funding from international donors, like the political funding of individuals. There's a lot of things. The genuineness of IEC is just way out the window. Hence, you see, people have lost confidence in the electoral system of these countries, and people have no hope whether the political system of the country will even rescue them in this country. So I'm hoping and praying that with the outcome of this symposium for the 2 days, the IEC will gain its consciousness and be genuine and frank in addressing matters of election and not just play games with the peoples of South Africa.
Before we get to the EFF, just a quick one, since you and the Deputy Chief Whip of the MK party in Parliament is here, tomorrow the former Secretary General of the MK, Floyd Chibam, is going to have a press briefing. Is he leaving the MK?
I'll leave that to the Deputy Chief.
No, we cannot preempt what an individual is going to say, but the party has a position, and the party did not sanction the press conference, so we'll wait to hear what then becomes his announcement or whatever it is that he's going to say. But on an emphasis that we want to make, it clearly demonstrates the MK position that the people are also saying the same thing, that IEC is no longer independent, is losing its credibility, and that ought to be reviewed because the decisions that are taken, the funds that are given to parties influence policy direction of the country, and they perpetuate the neoliberal arrangement of the economic system and other instruments that are regressive, not necessarily benefiting South Africans. But Floyd Chibam is not the subject matter at this stage. We're dealing with the issues of the IEC that remains a subject of capture. So we're focused on that now.
Thank you so much. Let's move to the EFF. As a party, do you think that the political party funding unit of the IEC should be given more powers, perhaps, to police political party funding? You raised an interesting point in plenary where you had said that there are families that are somewhat captured some political parties. Please expand on that.
Thank you very much. The issue of funding It's a very critical issue in our politics because of the influence it has on our politics in general. So the research, in fact, the input that we made and the response that we got around the issue of large single donors, because we asked specifically around the influence of the Oppenheimer family in the funding of political parties in South Africa. You will know that they are not only funding existing political parties, but they are creating new ones, like the one we saw which even failed to garner 1,000 signatures to register with the IEC, but received over 30 million from this particular family.
Are you talking about Roger Jardin's party?
Yes. It's an aspect that perhaps as we review the legislation and its impact, it's one area that also we should strongly legislate around to ensure that the influence of such large donors is properly regulated and dealt with in our legislation. But what is very disappointing was that the HSRC indicated that they made attempts to get the inputs from these large single donors, in particular the Oppenheimer family, to get an understanding as to, what are their motivation, what are their interests in funding or pumping so much money into particular political parties. And the response from the team from the HSRC was that they declined. So that should raise alarms. Or if these people are genuine, if it's about funding democracy, it's genuine interest of ensuring that we deepen multi-party democracy in South Africa, why do people with deep pockets who are funding in particular certain political parties, why would they decline questions from the HSRC in terms of understanding what is it that they want to achieve